Well, hello, everybody, and welcome again to the Skillwork Forum. I'm Tim, as always, joined with my partner, Brett. We got a special guest with us today. We're excited to get in the conversation. As you know, on the podcast here, we talk about skilled trades, manufacturing, where things are going with technology, trends, and innovations. And with that, we have a friend of ours, friend of Skillwork here, Mr. Karl Williams from AIMM, or AIM Services and CED Industrial Solutions Network. Karl's a thought leader in this space with respect to technology and innovation in the industrial space. And Karl, we're really excited to have you on board here. Welcome to the Skillwork Forum.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. Welcome everybody. Karl Williams. I work for AIM Services, which is part of CED, Consolidated Electrical Distributors. We're a proud distributor of a lot of automation equipment from Rockwell Automation, as well as a number of other key suppliers in that area. Just a warning. I mean, most of the information I get is because I talk to a lot of people, and it's kind of interesting to listen to the different perspectives of what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, I think that's why we really are excited about having you on, because you do listen to a lot of different voices, and you can kind of help us get a heartbeat of what you're hearing out there as we head into 2025. We're at the very beginning of the year here, so we're talking really a lot about trends and things that we're seeing happening in the space.
No, for sure. So, no, Karl, thanks for joining today. And so, we'll just kind of jump in. And so, as we talk about the barriers to manufacturing, we talk a lot about, obviously, the manufacturing world that you live in and we live in, the trends in automation. Obviously, AIM and CED are very involved in that as we're kind of involved on the other side of it, more from the skills and the talent side of it. But, what barriers are you seeing in manufacturing, and how are they, probably specifically, maybe how are the skills gap impacting that as manufacturers that you talk to are moving more towards automation?
It's kind of interesting topic. And I spent some time actually looking at different states and going to the state websites to see, where's the future of people? Where's who's going into manufacturing? Who's not? And from a people side of things, is the vocational training as sexy as going to college? And what does that mean for different people? From a trend perspective, I mean, certainly if you look at sensor technology, you look at networking, you look at technology, you look at inherently computer skills, a lot of people in those areas are now needed in the manufacturing side of things. And so, if you're going to have 100 people in manufacturing environment this year, and maybe next year you're going to have 100 people, they're going to need to be different. They're going to have to have different skills and different capabilities. And they've got to jump on those different technologies that are coming at us so fast at the moment.
Yeah, it's as we were talking before the podcast, that, you're out there talking to a lot of your customers and people in this space, and we're interested. What are you hearing, from manufacturing partners about the trends? We just did an Outlook podcast, and, a couple of the big trends were AI, generative AI, and kind of the whole smart manufacturing continuing to grow and up and to the right. What are you hearing, Karl, out there from your customers?
Well, AI is of interest for sure. Robots are of interest, increasing automation. I mean, if you talk to a lot of manufacturing environment, there's a lot of people that are working really, really hard, and they're trying to keep those plants up and running. And as they hit a speed bump or something, because some curveball comes their way they weren't expecting, how do you solve that? And so picking that up is a difficult task for a number of the folks that are working in the field. So, strategically, if you're a manufacturer, what do you subcontract? What do you not subcontract? Who do you work with? Having people we face this in our personal industry. Having 2D on most positions is critical, because if you've got a critical position with a critical technology knowledge, if somebody leaves, then what does that mean for your facility? The embedded knowledge in most manufacturers is incredible, but so is the age of the person with that embedded knowledge. And so with that, making a change to what you need to staff to and how you need to staff, you can't just think about the one person that's going to do that. You need to have at least two.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that, do you see, and our local folks that work with you here in our local instantiation of AIM and CED, what we hear from them is that their customers out there, they understand and they desire to move into some of this newer technology, but they're limited by the ability. We can't do it because we don't have enough guys right now to keep things going that we have in place, much less, innovate. Is that a
Yeah.
common thread?
Oh, we hear that all the time. And, you mentioned before AI and you mentioned technology. And the adoption of artificial intelligence is going to require us to have a lot of data points. And with those data points, how do we manage those data points? So, leaning in, and we need more IoT sensors. The IoT sensors are going to have to send the data to something. We're going to need the software housed on something. So this isn't just one point that we need people to be on top of. It's a whole continuum, the network that it plays on. Each of those technology segments are interlinked. It's a technology change that isn't just one piece of the pie. So everyone's trying to keep the plants up and running, and they're working really hard, and there's a lot of really dedicated people on there. But the where are we today versus where do we need to be, and how do we manage the gap? That's the piece we see a lot of customers struggling with.
I think it's that's an interesting point, I guess, and I don't know if you have an opinion. We talk a lot about, Industry 4.0, industrial, the revolution and the move towards technology, which has been happening for a while. But I think kind of to your point, realistically, do you see, or do you still feel that we're as a nation, as a country here in the U.S., that we're still probably a little behind on the technology in that, or do you think we're catching up?
No, I think the US is on the forefront. I think manufacturing, maybe follows consumer. So if you're going to buy yourself a new vehicle, how many sensors are on that vehicle today? It wasn't the same 2 years ago, and it wasn't the same 2 years prior to that. I think the adoption of the IoT components and sensors in a number of these facilities is rising. I think we're accelerating. I think there's a large diversity between industry types, which are adopting some of the technology and some that are not. And then once you have the data, how are you sending it to where you're sending? There's a lot of movement in the US, and there's a lot of stuff getting done. But as with most technology hockey sticks, what we do today, maybe 10x next year and 10x the year after. It's exponential versus, arithmetic, I guess.
What sort of strategies do you and your team try to help your customers implement in terms of closing the skilled trade gap to be able to actually install, troubleshoot, repair, replace this high-tech equipment that companies like Rockwell are putting out there? I mean, if you go into a lot of our manufacturers we work with are in rural places, locations, kind of like where you're at today, and they don't have access to all these folks. They've got people in some cases that have technologies and skills that are outdated. What are strategies do you try to encourage your customers to embrace to close the gap?
Well, every customer is different, and every customer's got their own unique culture about how they manage through things. Our goal would be to help the customer have a plan. Modernizing isn't an option if we want to be the competitors of each of our customers. Are modernizing, they're changing, they're adopting both onshore and offshore competitors. So the starting point is where are we today? And so where are we today allows us to build a multi-step plan to get the customer where they need to be. So, but with that, you've got we need to keep the plan running today. What training, what additional skill sets, which pieces are we going to outsource, which pieces are we going to do on site? Those are all questions that the customers are answering daily. But the question on how to modernize overlaps those two questions. We've got to keep it going. We've got to maximize our productivity. But at the same time, we need to plug in that, and we need to figure out where's it going to be in 5 years' time. From a people aspect, the skill sets are going to be required. Just look at what's happening in robotics and looking at having sensor technology and industrial Ethernet networking, or just industrial networking, I guess. Those are pretty big tasks and you can't just tackle those one at a time.
Yeah, that's it sounds almost like your team and the smart manufacturer out there is going to seek outside consulting support to come in and maybe, I don't know, for lack of a better word, audit where you are today, establish the as is before you can kind of set a roadmap for the to be. Is that where your team kind of comes in and what you guys typically do?
Yeah, my team does a lot of that. We also do it for the people as well. So if there's people, what's your people strategy? There's less people going into manufacturing, and so how can you help manage which bits do you want to do? And so this training requirements. I mean, it's never been stronger. The requirement to have skilled people. Do you want to use a Skillworks to have a skilled person, or do you want to build it yourself? Everyone's got a development part, and keeping the employees in a happy place, because we're still in a pretty much a labor shortage in that area. You're in that tough risk of, if you train someone, will they leave? And if as they say, if you don't, what will they do? Kind of question that's flown out there on the internet.
Good. No, it's really interesting. So, do you see, Karl, as you're out there, like you said, there's less people going into manufacturing. There's this 10x multiplier on what you need to know, to survive. I don't. Are you seeing a trend to where companies are starting to, I hate to use the word wake up, but are starting to put talent strategies in place and so forth? I mean, obviously that's what you guys, as best I understand it, you're very close to that. But are you seeing that companies are starting to kind of start to recognize that and see, hey, we've got to,
like a more innovative talent strategy.
Yeah, get more of a plan, as opposed to, I always use the analogy, back, when I owned food manufacturing company, I mean, we hired everybody local. We ran ads in the newspaper and somebody showed up, but it was all mechanical, and they didn't have to be, if you could change oil in your truck, you could work in the plant,
Yeah.
And so it was a different time.
Yeah.
So are you seeing companies starting to adapt, or are they still in denial?
It's a continuum, I would say, at the senior management level, certainly in the C-suite. There's a requirement that technology needs to be adopted. There needs to be people plans in place with this. But then culturally, how's that impacted through one particular facility? Is going to be different than another one. So is the message drifting up and down the organization and where does it sit, and who's got the pain point to manage that? Is in a different place by customer. Ideally, I think it'd be the closer it is to actually getting the maintenance done and closer it is to actually getting production done. But the pain points there's going to be a lot more faster reaction than if it is a couple of levels up. So that's a management practice or a management a change management issue that people have to challenge. How do you get your entire organization to say, yesterday's plant is not going to be tomorrow's plant? Technology, people, and data and all the industry 4.1 components that go with that. And then you're going to have conflicting opinions and conflicting agendas on, should we go first on technology or first on people? What happens for existing manufacturing, and how that all flows together. So there's different parts that play into that, and having a holistic strategy is, in my opinion, probably the best way to go. But you've got to start somewhere, and you got to push the snowball down the hill to get a bit of momentum going.
Yeah.
Good.
We heard it called recently total talent strategy, so.
Is the skilled labor shortage hurting your company's bottom line? Skillwork is the premier staffing agency focusing exclusively on skilled labor. Our team of highly skilled workers augments your existing teams for elevated impact and decreased downtime. Partnering with hundreds of facilities in more than 30 states, we deploy our traveling industrial technicians to work for you on a contract basis. Our philosophy is simple: to honor God in all we do, bring respect back to the skilled trades, and positively impact those around us. For more information on how Skillwork can deliver the top labor talent you need, visit skillwork.com or call us at 447-7058. Call us today to see how Skillwork can work for you.
Yeah.
Good.
We heard it called recently total talent strategy,
Yep.
So, on this discussion topic of technology and adoption of technology in automated environments, so we see all the upside, the goodness and, the potential, but what about risks? What are the risks that companies are facing? There's got to be, with new technology and new advancement, there's always, risk associated with that. So what do you guys see as risk, and what do you do to reduce those risks?
Well, I don't know if we've got all the solutions, but I can certainly, there are risks, and from adoption of new technology, I mean, people's is the number 1, 2, and 3 points. So like, are we capable of, if we get a new robot, can we maintain the robot? If we have a cyber issue, can we tackle the cyber issue? If we have an issue, do we want to do it on, ourselves, or do we want to outsource? And if we outsource, this manufacturing plant could have been operating for 60, 70 years, gone through multiple iterations of upgrading, changing that to a position where the steps are clear and they're in line across multiple parts of the organization. It's like, have you got your change management strategy in place? And that all starts with the people. I mean, like, if you're going to outsource your IT, how does that IT outsourcing impact the new network that's needed on the OT environment? There's enough challenges between the OT side of the world and the IT side of the world in most manufacturing environments. And then if part of that's outsourced on either side of the fence, there's a huge opportunity to do really well or not do really well. I mean, if you take things like, from a technology perspective, you've got downstream or second domino effects on safety. Like, if you're going to palletize or you're going to have robots running around the factory, that robot wasn't running down that particular aisle, 2 years ago. So do you need new sensors to figure out where that is? How do you get the data where that robot's operating? How are we going to make sure people are out of harm's way from that new operation? It's not just the robot that's a piece. It's the components that go with it, which involve, keeping people safe on plant floors. There's a lot of second or third dominoes that get knocked over after you adopt one piece of technology in a plant.
Yeah, I heard you mention several things there that I've heard just in this arena the last 5-6 years, and I think the growth of cybersecurity and manufacturing. You didn't even talk about this stuff 5 years ago. At least I didn't hear much about it. And now if you go to a big, like the Rockwell Automation Fair, the biggest draw are, these simulations and companies that are talking about how to protect your data. Cybersecurity. It looked like, I'm an ex-military guy. It looked like an operations center from a military, operation. It's incredible that the advent of technology is exposing new risk. And you mentioned something is, common sense wise is safety. We see some of these robots running around in plants. Safety guys that have been there for 30, 40 years probably had no idea how to mitigate those kind of risks. So it's exposing new things.
Yeah, and on the cybersecurity side of things, it's kind of, hey, we're all worried about a credit card and our social security number getting taken away. But, on cyber, this is switching things on and switching things off. There could be pumps involved. There could be machines involved. There's production. And production, on an hourly basis is like a pretty expensive thing for most of our good customers. It's where they want to focus. So, those are all new. And the more devices you have, the more sensors you have, the more risk you have. And managing that in the same environment is a challenge that most of our customers have. When I say in the same environment, the people with the sensors, are they the same people that are managing the risk to the sensors, or are they different groups? What's the coordination between those groups? How do they manage that on an ongoing basis? Doing a snapshot can be kind of easy. We manage it this way. Having a movie or an ongoing a roll of film, I guess I'm dating myself there, is a different play.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Brett, in a previous life, he worked in a coal mine, so he's got the little black lung.
I do. I got an itch there, Barry.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got a tickle. I was trying to
That's
get
all
rid of.
right. No, I think they'll be able to edit some of that out. No worries. But I think you really made some great insights, and I'm just sitting here thinking about guys like one of your guys, Jake Williams, we work with here locally. And how much those guys now have to know as well. When they go into, they have to know all these other things to be able to go into. So like your team, I know when you go in and assess something, you probably bring a team of experts that look across the whole spectrum because it's getting more and more complex to help companies develop strategies and plans to implement some of these changes, right?
Yeah, and we have to be careful on our side for our interaction. I mean, I'm a sales guy, Jake's a sales guy. We're trying to help customers, but end of the day, if we were walking in and necessarily spelling out what we think's best for the customer, that's like categorically the wrong way to go. Customers, I mean, they're all unique, and everyone's got their own problems and their own pressures from corporate or their own something blew up last week. It's really matching the solutions to the customer. And the customers are going to be determining those across the country. It's like any two households have their own set of dynamics. No two manufacturers are the same way. So our strategy, our philosophy is to really sit down and not sell. Is to listen. Now we can always do better, but that would be the best way to get the customers what they need. In the way we would understand it.
Yeah, and what we do is it's kind of similar, Karl, our company, and this is not it's not a salesy podcast. We're trying to educate people, but the idea is going in really trying to listen because every one of our customers, even if it's a similarly, it's an enterprise sized company that has plants across multiple places, every one of those plants has a different culture, a different need, and it's understanding their need. And, not every problem's a nail and every solution's a hammer. So we really try to figure that out. And that's why we bring guests like you on us to help us and our clients understand that this is a complex, multifaceted challenge that we have to be in continual learning mode in order to stay up to speed and understand the environment we're all in.
Yeah, and quite often, in the interview skills are incredible. Like you spoke about AI previously. The desire maybe to drive further AI adoption to increase predictive maintenance, to increase the length of time the machine's up and operate. Well, to get AI, you need data. From a data, you need to have a sensor. To have a sensor, you need to have a network. And so, where do you start? And you can't. The where we want to be is a path, not necessarily a destination. And the starting point isn't always the easiest definition of that. So, a consultation or a discussion or how do the dominoes line up? Are they parallel? Are they in series? Those are all questions we'd like to talk to the customers about.
Yeah, for sure. And one of our, podcasts, we looked at 25 trends, and one of them, the adoption of AI and generative AI. And the recommendation, this came from a Deloitte study on manufacturing trends, said that you need to have an adoption strategy for that technology, and specifically AI, because everybody's just running out and getting AI without really how's this going to impact how do we do it in a smart way? And so that's important that you just don't go out and chase every shiny object, right?
It was kind of funny. Like I was trying to answer your question, like how's AI going to impact positively a manufacturer? So using that as a question, I was like, well, who better to ask than AI itself? So we put that particular question to ChatGPT and kind of that, hey, AI is going to help with predictive maintenance. We're going to get real-time data, not historical data. We can manage our supply chain better and supply stockages and how much we need to inventory. We can look at defects in real time, stopping production, starting production faster, being more productive, make more money, sustainable. What's happening with your power? Are you wanting to cut costs on the electricity at the same time and engage a greener environment? All this data that's coming out of the plants can be used to drive all of these. And you can optimize process optimization. I'd like to take credit for those last 6 bullet points, but ChatGPT was the real genius behind that.
I mean, just trying to introduce people to ChatGPT, and I mean, it is a great tool, useful tool. You can use that today and just give me some interview questions for a candidate that's got, here's his resume, give me some interview questions. It can be used today. So, just to, I don't know, take a little side, they'll probably edit this out. But my wife, I was trying to explain ChatGPT and AI, and I said, give me a topic, and so we've got these little corgi dogs. She said, okay, the corgi dogs. And I'm like, give me doing something. Okay, dancing. I said, okay, I'm going to type in, write a song about corgi dogs that dance. And 10 seconds later, a 5-verse song that actually was pretty catchy. I mean, I'm like, it's amazing what this stuff can do, right?
Well, yeah, I'm putting myself out of a job. I'll never be interviewed again. You just need to like get into Chat GPT and off we go, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if corgi dancing songs.
Yeah, I don't think
it's going to solve much of the manufacturing, but it's so interesting.
Yeah, here's the cool thing though that I think, and it's a valid point, that what you do, Karl, and what your team does, and kind of what we do, this is where AI is not going to be able to. The ability to think innovatively outside the box, to be able to. Chat GPT and AI takes data points. You mentioned it. It takes things that are there, and even if it can learn, but bringing somebody in with experience to go in and look at a problem and solve it and bring these things together, leveraging AI as a tool, that's going to be the way. So guys and things like this are going to continue to be necessary.
Yeah, I mean, it's like any technology, right? And I guess the catchiest line I saw on AI was, it can replace parts of a lot of people's jobs, but it is very unlikely to replace anyone's job. So managing that as a what part, and how do you manage your resource allocation and your people's day and how you interact is not going to be a switch one on, switch one off. It's going to be a transition, and it's going to be a different playbook than what is a natural course for us all to take, I believe anyway.
Really good.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I think, we can wrap it up, but I think that when I look at it, we think about it and we talk about it like from our recruiters and our client managers, we talk to people. I think it's really more about how do you use AI, how to use these different technologies to make the relational side of what we do better. It's not going to replace the relational side, but it has the potential to enhance, what we can do, to give us more time to be relational, because we're not doing some of the other stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So smart use of that and all these technologies, and you and your team that we have a great relationship are doing it well, Karl. So we appreciate the time. We know you're a busy guy. You're traveling. Thanks for coming on, talking, and sharing some of these thoughts. Any final thoughts before we wrap up today?
No, I appreciate it. I hope it warms up in Nebraska, and it's a pleasure doing working with you guys and evolving these particular topics to the betterment of our customers. So thank you very much for the invitation. Well appreciated, and good to see you both again.
You too, Karl. And for those watching us here, we really appreciate you. Thanks for being part of our audience. As always, you can subscribe, you can like, you can download, you can pass these on, give us topics to talk about. If we can help you at all, with your skilled trade staffing needs, reach out to us. We'll help you if we can. Same thing for Karl and his guys at AIM Services and CED and the whole Industrial Solutions Network. These are great guys. Reach out to them. They'd love to talk to you as well. So until next time, God bless. Have a great day.
This is Brett Elliott, CEO and co-founder at Skillwork. Prior to starting Skillwork, I spent over 30 years in the food manufacturing space. From literally starting out cleaning the restrooms to becoming the maintenance manager, then the plant manager, to eventually becoming the president and owner, I've seen the manufacturing world from many perspectives. And like many of you, I've seen firsthand the growing need for higher skilled workers, while at the same time experiencing the shortage of this skilled talent. I started Skillwork to address that need. I knew the headhunter and the local temp agency models were not the solution. If you're experiencing the same shortage of talent at your facility, we would love to connect you with our team. Give us a call at 402-447-7058 or visit us online at skillwork.com.